And Earl, not ideal. We're going to get into it with the Ultimate Browns postgame show starting right now. Well, we waited a long time to see a brand new offense. G. Bush, Earl the Pearl, Mikey McNuggets here. And guys, I was expecting to see something that we did not see, and that was a competent offense that looked anything resembling an NFL offense. There are 2 minutes left. The Browns trailing 33-10 to the Dallas Cowboys at home. G, welcome on. Earl, welcome on to our Bleacher Report audience out there today. We appreciate you guys for tuning in and joining us. But, G, I'll start with you. What do you make of this offensive performance from the Browns today?
Yeah, this don't look good, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro. This not looking good at all. First and foremost, I thought we was gonna see something new. We saw none of that. I don't know what the game plan was to start with. One of the things I talked about on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show was multiple times last week that the Cleveland Browns could not just continue to line up in 5 wide and think they're going to throw the ball everywhere, given the fact of what they had at tackle. You know what they did? They came out here in 5 wide and abandoned the running game. Now, listen, I'm going to just keep it real with you. Jerome Ford, it leaves a lot to be desired. I'm not even going to say a lot to be desired. There's a lot of things that in the first few quarters, they have to be able to run the football, and Jerome Ford is tiptoeing around being the masked singer. They're going to have to figure out what's going on with that. But as far as the game plan, Michael Parsons was all over the place. They pressured Deshaun Watson. They was in the backfield. They looked sloppy. They looked undisciplined. They looked unconcerned. They looked like they hadn't played in 3 years. And guess what? I came out and said, look, maybe Coach Stefanski has a pulse on the team, and maybe they shouldn't have played in preseason. Well, it looks like that's completely the opposite. It looks like they should have all been out there practicing 100-degree weather, because they look like a team that has not played since the Houston Texans game. And it looks like nasty work. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board, because what I saw today offensively was nothing new. Actually, it looked worse. And the penalties and just the pre-snap stuff and the drop footballs, it looked like nasty work all the way around.
Earl?
Well, this is not the way I expected to return from vacation. Man, I had so many jokes lined up about how the best thing that ever came out of Dallas was both 3, but I can save all that for another 4 or 5 years when we play the Cowboys again. Listen, man, about a month ago, I started to temper my expectations for week 1 on the offensive side of the ball. And I said it a few times on multiple platforms on the fact that the Cleveland Browns have so many new faces and voices on the offensive side of the staff. Running backs coach, offensive coordinator, tight ends coach, etc. And you understood that continuity and chemistry will be a huge factor in how fast the Browns got off to a good start. And throughout the OTA session, throughout training camp at Greenbrier, throughout, training camp when they returned to Berea, you didn't see that continuity. You didn't see those reps. G was one of the people who felt like the Browns didn't need to play in preseason. I was one of the people who felt like I needed to see Deshaun Watson and the offense play. Why? Because Deshaun Watson is coming off shoulder surgery, a brand new offense. You got Jerry Jeudy coming over in a brand new system. You got a brand new offensive line coach. Just so many new moving parts that you needed to get those live game reps, even if it was in preseason. And yeah, you risk injury, but you know what? When I look across and I see people like Patrick Mahomes playing in the preseason, there is no excuse for a guy like Deshaun Watson not to be playing in the preseason. Now, as far as this game go, I thought the game plan was anemic. I thought that Deshaun Watson was absolutely terrible. I thought the offensive line was terrible. The offensive line didn't do a damn thing to hold up much of a block. I think Deshaun Watson faced something like 22-something pressures, completed maybe 2 or 3 passes. Listen, this is the NFL. You're going to get pressured. Part of being that dude at quarterback is completing passes when you're under pressure. I can't say nothing about the fact that when he did have time to throw, it seemed like the ball was going in a downward angle. It seemed like he was missing wide open wide receivers when he had the opportunity. And then when he did put the ball on the money, guys was dropping the football. It just seemed like the same old from last year. And for us to be told time in and time out that everything looks grand, that everything looks okay, and we didn't see this team really get those reps that they needed before you got to week 1 against Dallas, that's a little disappointing. Now, this was a horrible loss, but I'm not going to sit up here and act like the sky is falling. But today I am concerned. Today I am worried. You know, today doesn't change the outcome of this season. But if you continue to put on offensive performances like that, you won't make it far at all.
Yeah, let's call a spade a spade. Today was hideous. And the Browns did just score another touchdown. Jerome Ford, 2-yard touchdown run to make it 33-17 with 26 seconds to play. But this game's over. Let's just call it what it is today, guys. The offensive line was abysmal. Deshaun Watson was not good. The wide receivers dropped too many passes. The defense played okay, but if you're going to get that level of performance from the offense, the defense has to be superhuman. The special teams gave up a punt return touchdown to Kevontae Turpin. They got outcoached. They got outplayed. They got out-physicaled. They got outsmarted, and they got out-executed. And that is a recipe for an L every single time. What disappoints me the most about this performance, Gianero, is we had heard all summer, trust us, it's going to be okay. And we said, okay, you have earned the right for us to just trust it. Stefanski, you won Coach of the Year for the second time in 4 years. You bring in Ken Dorsey. You bring in all these new pieces. You have Jerry Jeudy. We overlooked the fact that it wasn't just a lack of preseason reps in a game. These guys barely practiced together in practice. You know, of the 17 training camp practices, there were only 3 practices where Deshaun, Jeudy, Cooper, and Moore, his top 3 targets, all practiced together. So it's not just a lack of game reps in the preseason. It's a lack of all reps. And that does not excuse what we saw today because, like I said a second ago, it was not good enough. Point blank, period. No excuses. But I think we all underestimated, and G, you may be the one who underestimated it the most, how much of an impact not having any time to work together in practice and/or preseason impacted what they looked like in game 1. They looked rusty, and that's not an excuse because I refuse to give them the rust excuse. That was told.
There's zero.
We were told that doesn't matter. They were fine not playing in the preseason. Deshaun said, I'm good. I don't need to play. Well, after seeing what we saw today, it couldn't have hurt, G. It couldn't have hurt.
You know, when you talk about the rust and you talk about not playing, that's going to be second guessed for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. Yeah. The thing that I'm most disappointed in is the lack of energy level, bro. Like the lack of, like, I can understand if you want to, you want to come and look rusty and you're not executing in week 1. But the 2 things that anybody that plays football or knows the game is you can't get out physical and you can't get physically beat up. The Dallas Cowboys came in here and acted like they was at home. The Cleveland Browns on offense and defense did not give anybody in that stadium anything to cheer for or to get behind them. And I'll say this. It looked like the intensity that Michael Parsons had, Myles Garrett didn't have that level of intensity.
Mike outplayed him today.
JOK, I didn't hear your name. I saw a couple plays on the outside, but CeeDee Lamb came out, and what I thought to you guys was their playmakers got them involved and was ready to go. CeeDee Lamb was catching everything. They had a big play down the field. And here's what I'm saying too, Deshaun Watson. In the first quarter, we call it all-out blitz, right? Dak Prescott identifies the blitz. The blitz is picked up. He audibles. He goes to a deep corner route to Brandin Cooks in the end zone. He stands in, takes the beating, and throws the ball on the money touchdown, right? Sometimes that's what you're going to have, bro. You got to look down the barrel, and it got to be on the money. It got to be on point. Deshaun Watson had an opportunity and with Amari Cooper a couple of seconds ago in the fourth quarter, and guess what? He didn't hit him. It's time out for not hitting what you got to hit. And I'm tired of Njoku was hurt, but Njoku in the first quarter, you slipped and fell when you could have got yards after the catch. You dropped the football. You were holding on penalties, and everybody is sleepwalking and doing this. Oh, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. At some point, the Titanic that hit the iceberg and the water's coming in. Somebody got to step up and grab everybody else and say, let's wake the hell up and let's get it going. We never saw that. We just didn't.
And Earl, before you chime in, shout out to the 2,100 people already tuned in. The game ended 27 seconds ago. We got 2,000 people in here already. That's why the people who watch UCSS, the best, and Browns fans, undisputed, the best. Earl, it feels like a gut punch. I had such high expectations for what we were going to see today, and it just feels like the ultimate kick in the nuts, an ultimate letdown, because what we saw was frankly not good.
Man, it was disappointing, and everybody has the right to be pissed off. And I can't sit up here and make no excuses for Deshaun Watson, no excuses for Kevin Stefanski, no excuses for Jim Schwartz in the defense, no excuses for Myles Garrett.
Nope. Thank you, Earl.
Just through and through, Bubba Ventrone and his special teams unit. No excuses for you all either. Through and through, this team did not come ready to play, right? And for every reason that you two gentlemen just laid out is why none of us can sit up here and make an excuse. You all sit up here and chose to operate in the offseason through OTAs and training camp the way that you did. You all told us that this was you all's plan and that everything behind the scenes was fine. Okay, you come out here and you lay an egg in all three phases of football against the Dallas Cowboys. You deserve every bit of criticism that you're going to get on this show and every other show that's going to come this week. You earned that criticism. Just like you earn the praise, just like you earn the respect, you got to get it. Like, G, you brought up the play that Dak audible to, and then Deshaun have that similar situation, and he didn't make the play. Listen, the man was under pressure a lot, and I get that. The offensive line wasn't good. But you know what? You didn't play behind bad offensive lines before.
Bingo.
In Houston, you played behind the worst offensive line in football, and you played much better than what you played. So, for those who want to sit up here and say that Deshaun Watson don't have it anymore, you know what? It's hard to argue that point. Because right now, at least for week 1 against Dallas, it just looked like, man, this is a dude whose best days are behind him. And hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully this is just week 1 of the NFL season and the Browns will, kind of like roll off some wins past here. But I didn't come into this game expecting the Browns to look great on offense. I understood that it would be a slow start. But what I did not expect is for the Cleveland Browns to come out here and be bad on offense. Do you know 50% of their plays went for 0 yards?
Fox, that's crazy.
Like at the end of the day, that's not acceptable. We watched the team on Friday night, in Brazil with the Philadelphia Eagles, who also is deploying a brand new offense with a brand new offensive coordinator, right? And you've seen the struggles early on. But what else did you see? You see an offense start to catch fire. You see an offense that started to get into rhythm. You see an offense that looks like, okay, going into at least week 2, you have faith that team would be better offensively than what they was in week 1. We can't say that right now in Cleveland. Based on what we seen week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys, we don't know what the hell to expect when we get down to Jacksonville at all. And that's very disappointing because we were sold something else. We was trusting the plan because Kevin Stefanski is the 2-time coach of the year. And then they come out here and they look like this in every phase of football. That's not acceptable at all.
Yes or no question to both of you guys. I have a point to make. Did you think the offense looked any different today than it had the past 2 seasons? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, I agree. No. I agree. Earl, to your point about the offensive line, the Browns' offensive line today was a catastrophic failure. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. The offensive line was bad. That is not an excuse for how bad the rest of the offense played. Jerome Ford was tap dancing in the backfield. Again, G, that's something you've pointed out time and time again on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Unless he has the parting of the Red Sea to run through, he's going to tap dance in the backfield. And against the shaky offensive line, or with the shaky offensive line, that's going to lead to more negative plays than positive plays. Deshaun missed a ton of throws. His deep balls, I did not think looked accurate. And we saw on Thursday night, the Baltimore Ravens offensive line was equally as bad. Probably a little better, but it was bad. Let's be honest. And Lamar was running for his life back there, and he was still able to make plays and still able to put together drives and sustain offense. Today, the Browns just weren't able to do that. And I want to show you guys something that Bill Barnwell tweeted. This is Deshaun Watson's first half pass chart today. You guys ready for this? It's on the screen. The greens are completions. The reds are interceptions. The whites are incomplete passes. Guys, I'm not sure what the answer is. We probably won't get an answer until week 3, week 4. Is this Kevin Stefanski subtly telling us he doesn't trust Deshaun Watson's arm? Gee, am I maybe looking too far into that?
Listen, first, but listen, I'm gonna keep it real with you. On the deep ball, I think you put up a nice point. Some of them deep balls that he was throwing These was in the stands, bro.
He had the two fades in the red zone, G, were not even close. The one to Jerry Jeudy on the left side was not close. In the first quarter, he took a deep shot to Amari Cooper down the middle with 7 yards overthrown. And he had some zip on the underneath throws, especially in that third quarter drive when they scored a touchdown. He was able to cock it back and let it fly. But it didn't look like he had any touch or feel on those deep shots.
And I'm going to get to this too. When you talk about the setup of the offense, and I tweeted this out, and I said, in the second quarter, you saw the Dallas Cowboys run regular high school football.
Basic, vanilla.
Basic bootlegs, keeping Myles Garrett off target. Zeke Elliott wasn't doing much, but guess what? They was keeping the run involved. Screen passes, the jet motion plays. By the way, Browns didn't do well at covering the jet motion plays again. The Browns had none of those plays. In the first half, there's no screens. There were no draws. There were no jet motion. There was nothing. It was 3rd and 10. Let's throw the ball below the sticks for 4 yards and get tackled and punt. At some point, the offense has to – it's been looking like the same thing for years. It's like, where is the rest of the routes? Why does everything look like we're in a phone booth? Like, and Tom Brady talked about it. He said, just everybody's just jumbled up. Everybody is in one spot. And for me, we were told about this offense, and I gotta say this to Kev. Yes, you the 2-time coach of the year, but your game plan and the way you called it today was not it. You knew you had 2 tackles. Nope. Who designed the play where you slide protection to pick up a blitzer and you leave Micah Parsons staring at Deshaun Watson? That's what we came up with all week.
Micah had 8 pressures, G. They had 5 players, according to the Fox broadcast, 5 players with multiple pressures today. That's unheard of. That's what the Browns did to the Cardinals last season. Like, that's the level of pressure Dallas was able to generate on this Cleveland offense. And we knew the offensive line was going to struggle without Conklin and Jed Wills. I didn't think it was going to struggle that much.
Let's ask ourselves a question though. Let's really try to ask ourselves a question. Why was the game plan designed the way that it was? I think if you look at that passing chart, Mike, you asked the question.
I think I know why.
Is it because he doesn't trust Deshaun Watson to get the ball down the field? I'm not going to tell the audience what me and you text about, but maybe that's part of the reason why he don't trust Deshaun Watson. If that's the case, not to throw the ball down the field. You can clearly see based on how the game was the game plan was put together, especially early on, it was very safe game plan, almost like he was trying to protect Deshaun Watson. That's what it seemed like. Instead of just going out there being an attacking offense, being this offense that David Njoku sold us on, that Deshaun Watson, Ken Dorsey, and Kevin Stefanski himself sold us on. We haven't seen that at all. That game plan to me, and maybe some of the chat can chime in, but to me, it seemed like it was something that was very safe, almost like he was trying to protect Deshaun Watson from something, like he was trying to hide from something.
And Earl, and I want to get this across loudly and clearly. All of them was trash. The quarterback play was trash. It was not up to level. The running back play, the game play, all the above letter D. I'm disappointed in all the above. Y'all got to understand something out here, bro. This ain't the Deshaun Watson channel, bro. We don't eat birthday cake with Deshaun Watson. At the end of the day, if it's not good enough, it's not good enough. That performance wasn't good enough. Was he under pressure? Sure. Did the offensive line not provide nothing? That's a thing as well. But to me, all the above letter D. I don't get no extra credit points for putting on the Captain Caveman or the Captain Kirk. Let's go save Deshaun Watson. It wasn't good enough. I just said the balls is out of bounds. You can't throw the rock out of bounds like that. I'm like, bro, where we going with this?
And G, when you get an elite quarterback, and when the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson, they thought they were trading for an elite quarterback. Part of what makes a guy elite is he can cover up a lot of these shortcomings of the rest of your offense. He can make up for a subpar offensive line, and he can make receivers better, and he could use his legs to open up running lanes for the running backs. And once again, it's one game. It doesn't mean Deshaun can't be good the rest of the season. It doesn't mean he's washed forever. But today, it just wasn't good enough to compete against a team that came in more prepared, executed better. The Browns had at least 11 accepted penalties. I'm not sure how many declined penalties they had, but DeJuan Jones had 3 on him by himself. Jerry Jeudy had 2 illegal formations. The NFL's already made a point of emphasis. They're going to call that this year, and the Browns were not ready for it. They got called for at least 3. And when you look at a quarterback who did not play up to standard against a team that is relatively on the same talent level, we did the whole thing on Friday, G, the 1s, 2s, and 0s, and the Browns roster that was a little better, but it was pretty close. One quarterback played a solid game. One quarterback didn't, and that's the difference. That's a 17-point difference right there. So it's not all Deshaun's fault, but when you win, the quarterback gets a lot of the credit, and when you lose, he gets a lot of the blame. It's just how the game goes. And Deshaun
I'm not
a lot of the blame today.
I'm not a numbers guy, right? But I just looked at it. Brandin Cooks had 4 receptions for 40 yards and a touchdown. He had a better game statistically than both Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper caught 10 of 9 targets. Like that's a problem. That's a problem. Like G said, above letter D, the entire thing was just bad. It was god awful. And everybody that's frustrated, they have every right to be frustrated. And I'll say this here. This was said on another platform earlier today and yesterday. If Deshaun Watson is healthy for 17 games and he plays like that for 17 games, you won't hear no more from me about, the Browns running it back, seeing this thing through. At the end of the day, I cheer for these colors before I cheer for any player. And if the Browns need to move on and find another quarterback before they waste the rest of this roster, then that's what they have to do. Because at the end of the day, that's not acceptable at all. And I get it. It's not all on him. But when you are that dude, when you are deemed him, quote unquote, like even when it's ugly, you got to find a way to make big plays and big moments. And it's hard to really, I get it. The offensive line was not good at all. But again, Deshaun Watson has played behind an offensive line that was worse than the one that he played behind today. When you see how the game plan was put together after all these damn changes on the offensive side of the ball, with the offensive coordinator, with the tight ends coach, with the offensive line coach, and just being sold on all these receivers being able to run open in space, how this was a vertical passing attack, how the offense was going to be aggressive. They talked about this having like a NASCAR package on offense, how it being up-tempo. It didn't seem like an up-tempo offense. They did it one time.
And Tom Brady pointed it out, and that was it. We never saw it again.
This literally looked like the same thing that we saw last year with the people that was in New England. That's what this looks like.
Hey, G,
that's exactly what this looked like.
G, let me ask you a question. And Earl, we have plenty of time to talk about quarterback situations next year. So I don't want to cut that, but G, I want to ask more specifically to today's game. Are some of the things you saw that went wrong fixable?
Well, first of all, the undisciplined stuff. It's too many guys up front, and I got a problem with this. It's too many times up front where offensive linemen are realizing, hey, I'm the only person that they got. So if I make a mistake here, it's okay. It's just part of the game. No, it's not part of the game. These guys are up there not lining up on the line of scrimmage, illegal man downfield, false starts, jumping, and everybody's just dapping each other up in the line like, oh, we'll be okay, guys. I'm tired of that, man. I am tired of every single time that there is a positive play, there's a flag behind the play. And nobody is angry about it. If you're going to suck, if you're not going to block, and they're already going to get pressure anyway, take them out. I don't want to see them playing. If they're going to get pressure and this is the best you got, no, I can't. You cannot win. Tom Brady talked about it time and time again. When you cannot be in 3rd and 10, you get a positive play, holding, positive play, and you're just walking back with no one seems to be even care about it, right? It's just like one of those things. And second of all, I'm gonna go back to it. This ain't college.
Yeah.
This ain't college. I don't want to care about your NASCAR packages or your vertical passing game. None of that. If you cannot run the football, you are going to get blown out just like they did today. They could not run the football. They didn't try to run the football, did not try to establish to run the football. And guess what? by the time you're down 13, 14, 15 points and the other team knows you're passing the ball, guess what's going to happen? They're going to get creative. They're going to bring their blitzes. They're going to get exotic on you. So guess what? Is it fixable? Sure it is. If the coach puts the emphasis on it and the guys act like they want to do it. Is it fixable up front? Listen, they got bullied. Wyatt Teller is supposed to be our tough guy. They got bullied up front, smacked upside the face. They have to have some sort of pride. And shall I say this? That did not look like the same type of attitude when Bill Callahan was here. Well, that attitude up front with this soft passive, everything is okay. I didn't see that when he was here.
G, let me ask you this, G, because I have a point to make, but I want you to answer this. If everyone was healthy on the offensive line, who would your starting offensive line for the Browns be? If everyone was healthy.
If everybody was healthy, you would have Jet Wills will be playing, and DeJuan Jones, you played horrible today. I would probably have Jack Conklin playing. You better get yourself together too.
He had 3 penalties. My point is, Watson was bad. We talked about it. I think I was more disappointed in the offensive line than I actually was in Watson, because on paper, before the season started, we had Conklin penciled in as our swing guy. And we thought DeJuan played so well in his rookie season that he was taking over as right tackle. You can't bench him because he showed so much promise. 4 of the 5 starters on that offensive line from your ideal offensive line were in the game today, G. You had Bitonio. You had Teller, your 2 all-pro guards making $30 million plus together this season. You had Ethan Pocic. You had DeJuan Jones. Yeah, the left tackle in James Hudson was an abomination. We knew it was going to be an abomination going into the game. But how many times throughout the season do you have all 5 starting offensive linemen healthy at once? It's very infrequent.
It's very infrequent.
If you have 4 of your 5 guys, that's a pretty healthy offensive line for the most part. And the way they got manhandled across the board, left to right, left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle, was an embarrassment. And I'm not sure if it comes down to simply losing Bill Callahan. I'm not sure if it comes down to certain plays. Deshaun held onto the ball a little too long, tried to scramble and create because the receivers weren't creating enough separation to let it fly early. If it was schematic, if it was mental toughness, if it was heart and determination. G and Earl, I'm not quite sure what it was, but I know when you have 80% of your offensive line, an offensive line that was ranked by the 33rd team as the 3rd best offensive line going into the season, ranked by PFF as the 4th best offensive line going into the season, that was like the 3rd worst offensive line in football and the 4th worst offensive line in football. And you had 80% of your starters in the game. That's an unacceptable performance.
Not just 80% though, but think about it. You had the strength, which is your interior. Yeah. Right? When you got Bitonio, Pocic, and Teller, you assume that's your strength. So even if the tackle's a suspect, you assume that you're going to be okay. You assume that you can be able to run the ball a little bit. And the offensive line was disappointing. I don't know if it's a change of philosophy. I don't know if it's the fact that, Bill Callahan is just – listen, I heard something in the offseason. I can't remember right now exactly which offensive lineman I heard it from. But he talked about, this was kind of like after Tua had came out and said what he said about Flores. Mm-hmm. And he talked about coming to work every day, playing for Bill Callahan. It was mentally taxing. He was tough. He was old school. He was a grinder. He'd say some things and do some things. You knew you had to bring your A game every single day. And then he mentioned the new offensive line coach and how he's pretty lax. He's pretty laid back. It's a different energy when you come to work. For lack of a better term, it's almost like you're dealing with a substitute teacher and you feel like you ain't got to do the things that you normally would do if the real teacher was there. Yeah. That's what it seemed like out there today. I don't know if anybody else can get that analogy, but that's how it came off due to how they played.
It was weird, man. I was watching on the sideline and I was just trying to see the defense. I'm like, okay, maybe guys are going to be fired up or they're going to say, hey, guys, we need to put it on ourselves. We got to get a turnover or something. I'm looking at them and I'm just like, these dudes act like this is like walkthroughs or something. Like they was, I mean, this is the exact same. And this is kind of crazy. If you go back and look at the way they played against the Houston Texans, it looked like the same team. It looked like it's just a continuation of the Houston Texans game. Like, nothing open, guys not catching the football. And look, it's a very long season. For in week 1, I encourage everybody to be on Twitter. I encourage everybody to write whatever stories they need to write. Listen, they deserve to get whatever they need. And maybe the Cleveland Browns need to look inside themselves and say, you know what? We deserve what we're getting right now. Because the only way you're going to get up out of this is if you guys lock in, because it looked like a team that wasn't locked in, wasn't prepared, that looked like they went through Camp Cupcake. I'm just being honest with you, bro.
No, you're right.
You guys looked like you wasn't ready to put, like you guys was watching the Olympics all summer, and then you decided to put, I seen guys out there tired. I seen dudes sucking air. I'm like, listen, what did you expect? This week one. Like, it just didn't look like they looked completely unprepared, and like they was just like well we're gonna play the Cowboys and we'll come back out here because we were 11-5, 11-6. Nah,
Listen, you go first, though. All you.
No. So Mike, he just triggered a thought. So everybody's seen on social media all the reels that the Browns have posted leading up to this game, and in one of the reels, you know, you can hear the voiceover of Myles Garrett, and in there he says, you know, coming into the season, they're looking to build on everything that went right last year. And I didn't say this out loud at the time, but internally I did have this thought of, well, you kind of should build on the things or correct the things that went wrong last year. That didn't go right last year, because a lot of what we've seen on this very first Sunday of the NFL season 2024 looks a lot like what we saw in January of 2024 when the season ended against the Houston Texans, you know. And just throwing this out there because I'm seeing this a lot. At this point, I'm not saying Deshaun Watson is the guy. I don't know. But, you know, for everybody that's saying, well, like, it still should be Flacco, keep in mind, Flacco threw back-to-back pick sixes in that AFC wildcard game against the Houston Texans. All I'm saying is like, you know, when you out here turning the football over, no matter who you are at quarterback, you're not going to win many games. Yeah. Today was just disappointing on so many levels, because everything leading up into this week one matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, it was sold to us like everything was okay. And even though we didn't see everything in public, you know, we wanted to have this blind faith that, or they wanted us to have the blind faith that, you know what, you all might not be seeing it, but the work is being put in behind the scenes. And today it didn't look like that.
I got 3 points. You guys can respond to these points. Then we'll read some super chats and give our closing thoughts. But first and foremost, to what Earl just said, we have given the Browns the benefit of the doubt a lot in the last 2.5 years. Anytime Andrew Berry signed somebody, Naheem Hines, we got the laser eyes Andrew Berry emoji. Andrew Berry's a great cap guy. He's done a really good job building this roster. We just may have to pump the brakes on giving them the benefit of the doubt on everything right now. We were promised and sold a bill of goods that simply was not delivered today. Second, sometimes you got to hit rock bottom to realize where you're at. And you'd rather hit rock bottom in week 1 where you have 16 games to correct it than week 9 when you're 3-6 and have to go essentially perfect the rest of the way. Hopefully it's a wake-up call for the Browns. The way they practiced, the way they prepared, the way they executed was simply not good enough. And last point, we talked a lot about the offense and the offensive shortcomings. The defense was okay today. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. But there were a few guys who we expect to be primetime performers and on a primetime stage like the America Game of the Week, Fox National TV, 4:30, Tom Brady on the call. And I didn't think Brady was great. We could save that conversation for later. I was frankly a little disappointed. We didn't hear JOK's name called once till the fourth quarter. Myles Garrett had a strip sack in the first quarter, went MIA after that. Dalvin Tomlinson, I thought, put Dak Prescott into the center of the earth on the first play of the game or the second play of the game. Didn't hear his name very much after that. Newsome had one pass breakup. Ward's name got called more on tackles of CeeDee Lamb on jet sweeps than it was on pass breakups. And all in all, defense wasn't bad, but they're going to have to be elite, not just regular elite, G. They're going to have to be elite if that's the level of offense they're getting.
Here's the thing I'm disappointed about a little bit too. These jet sweeps.
That's elementary.
These jet sweeps have been. They have not. I saw him. They ran right by Alex Wright, and it's just like, Alex, have some awareness. They're not blocking you on that play. You have contained. What are you crashing down for? To me, there was a lot of little fundamental things at the grassroots of everything, right? Guys not getting enough depth on their routes when it's 3rd and 7, you're running 4-yard routes. Where's your depth? Where you at? Right? Little small things like that. That it just you have to clean up. Like we shouldn't be talking about the drop passes. It seems like the Cleveland Browns take way too long to get started. You shouldn't have to drop 2 or 3 passes, then they catch the next one and be like, okay, we're ready to go right now. That's not what the game plan is. And look, they got another game coming up next week against the Saints, who look like
Jaguars.
Excuse me, the Jaguars. And they got the Saints on the schedule coming up here as well. But I'm gonna tell you this: if they don't look like, if they're not embarrassed by what they saw, because they should be embarrassed, I'm taking them all the way down to the bare minimum. I'm not giving nobody the benefit of the doubt. I'm grading you week to week.
Yeah.
That's the new joint. You getting graded week to week, just like everybody else in regular life. What you did last year, that was great. It's a different team. What you did when it coach a year, guess what? It's a different team. And there's some guys. I'm a foreshadow this. Some guys fighting for their career. So look, because here's the thing. I saw a lot of guys looking older. I'm like, hopefully you're just rusty. I saw guys that I'm alarmed at the quarterback position. I'm alarmed at it because there's certain throws you got to hit. And I'm going to just tell you that right now. You got to hit certain throws and catch certain balls. But I'm going to tell you what, we stripping them down to bare level. Next week, we're going to see what you got. And we're going week to week with you. I'm telling you that right now.
And real quick, little breaking news. G, you don't even know this. Earl, you don't know this either. I didn't tell you. We signed a deal with, we're doing it this week, but Sean King, former NFL quarterback, he's hoping to join us every Wednesday to break down some film on Deshaun Watson. The good, the bad, the X's and O's from a quarterback perspective. So
let's do it.
We can talk about it from our eyes.
I want to see him.
We don't know the game like a former quarterback who can break it down, what he saw. Tim Couch isn't joining us every Friday this year. His son's a freshman in college, so he's traveling on Fridays when his normal hit was. So I told Steve Becker this morning, we got to find a quarterback to bring on the show to actually break down some of this film so we have a better insight into what we're looking for and what we're looking at. And Sean King, who does a really good job of breaking down film, he's going to come on Wednesday after Leroy this week. If he likes it, he's going to be a weekly contributor for us. So that's coming up on the UCSS universe. Or let me say goodbye to our Bleacher Report audience, and then let's read some super chats that work for you guys.
Let's do it.
Watching on the Bleacher Report app, you can find us Monday through Friday in the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. On YouTube, just search us on YouTube, and we do this every week starting at the 2-minute warning. We'll also be on the Bleacher Report app. Shout out to Bleacher Report for helping us bring two audiences together. So if you want to stick around and see our super chats on YouTube, go find us on our YouTube page, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. All right, let's get to some super chats here. And we have 25 of them. First one comes from Travis Talley. Yes or no answer, guys. Are the Browns a playoff team after what you saw today?
I don't want to report on that one game. But if I'm going by today, I'm saying heck no. If this is the way they're going to play the rest of the year, but it's a long year, I don't think this is indicative of what you can say a team is going to be in week one. But if you want my answer today, heck no.
I'm gonna still say yes. I think that this is a playoff team. I think that would be a mass overreaction to say this team is not a playoff team, even though this was a bad loss against Dallas. It's still week one. Today is September 8th.
Yeah, I'll say the team we saw today is not a playoff team. But I didn't pick the Browns to go 17-0. I thought they were going to lose 7 games this year. This is one of the 7, so I still think they can make the playoffs. But if they play like they did today, they got no shot in hell in making the playoffs.
Right.
Next up, A-Dub Sigma says, we're good. This was preseason reps. Relax. It's early. Hey, there's only 16 games left. There's only 17. I refuse to accept that mentality.
I ain't doing that
no more. 3 preseason games for a reason. That's where you get your preseason. This one counted, and the Browns got their ass kicked today.
And here's the thing, too. Like I told you, the way I'm getting down, listen, it's week to week, bro. They pay me to come on here to talk about what the Browns did today. And today they did not look good. So we can talk about, next week and this week is calm down and relax. I wish I could calm down and relax. If I had a regular job and I just was going to work, I would bear this, but I got to talk about this whole thing for a whole nother week. Yeah. So I can't relax. We're going to have to talk about it.
Earl, this next one's not the same, so you could respond to this. Week 1 lull from SG will be fine. You okay with that?
I feel the same way. I think that, this is our third year doing this. And I think people who are regulars should understand you react to each game as a standalone. What happens in say a game. That's why it's a post-game show. And so the emotions is going to be different from week to week based on how the Browns perform from week to week. Like that's setting a realistic expectation.
Yeah, our job's to react to what we saw. It's a post-game show. So yeah, if we're going to react and get emotional to what we saw, that's what Steve Becker's paying us for. So thanks. Travis Talley said, did losing Callahan have anything to do with the horrible O-line play? I feel like it's impossible to know exactly what led to the downfall of the offensive line today, but I think it's safe to assume losing the best offensive line coach, arguably in NFL history, doesn't help, right? Like, who knows if it's 10%, 20%, or 90%? It certainly doesn't help. Is that a fair assessment, G?
I come from an era where, it's way too laid back for me. Yes, the offensive line coach could be a thing, but listen, man, when you're a veteran and you've been here that long, hey, listen, if your offensive line coach is gone, Joe Bitonio is the leader up front. Be a leader and tell those guys, we got to get together. All that picking the quarterback up. They should be ashamed. Listen, Deshaun Watson, you say what you want about his play. He got beat to sleep today. He was taking hits left and right. He was getting beat to sleep. And look, guys got to start taking that personal. We can't have guys jumping offside, doing all this other type of stuff. Put it on yourself. Put the onus on you and say, look, we got to pick this stuff up and we got to pick these blitzes up. And if you can't do that, we got to find somebody else that will.
Next up comes from Rube Dog G. Deshaun doesn't look like the leader of this team. Okay. Next one comes leadership.
You know what I wanted him to be? I want him to be a playmaker. Forget leadership. I want you to complete throws. That's what. Forget all that hyperbole. When snap, throw, catch, do it all over again. We back to bare minimum. Forget that over the top team stuff. I need you to complete throws.
Last King of Scotland says, how long till we call the Colts and ask for Flacco? Earl, you already touched on this earlier. Flacco's gone, but he just dropped that. He's gone. It was a good run last year. It was fun. He's out. Next, A-Dub Sigma says, free thrash. Need a hungry receiver. Yeah, we didn't really see. Did he get snaps today? I don't remember
think he did
on the field. I know Tillman got a catch late. He got called for a holding in the fourth. Moore had a catch or two. Judy had the touchdown. Cooper was out there. I don't remember Thrash being out in the field at any point.
Nah. I see Cedric Tillman out there holding.
Yeah. He did have a catch, though. My prediction.
He one catch. He got a catch.
He ain't far off my prediction. 1 week in.
Hey, receivers, I wasn't impressed either.
No.
I wasn't impressed, receivers. You guys was out here getting locked up. There was a lot of times where I was looking at the replay. And by the way, I got to catch all 22 to see exactly if people was getting open. But it didn't look like nobody was breaking open free nowhere where it's just like, oh, my gosh, they missed the guy.
The only play I could remember where there was specifically someone open was that last fourth down Deshaun had where he was scrambling to his left and Amari was – now, he had to throw cross body. Tough throw, granted. But Amari was wide-ass open in the middle there. Yeah. Tough throw. I understand. I'm not saying it's an easy one, but that was the only real replay they showed where it looked like they had a legitimate guy open with room to run had Deshaun been able to connect. Other than that, until we see the all-22, we don't know for sure. It wasn't like the replay and Tom Brady were pointing out receivers running wide open play after play. So we'll see. Next one comes from Jake Adams. Watson gave me no faith for the rest of the season. I'm sorry he forgot. It looks like he forgot how to play football. We talked about that earlier. That is hopefully going to change in the next coming weeks, but not a good enough performance from the Browns QB1 today. OA says, I would like to apologize to the fans and the Haslams. What are you apologizing for, OA?
I don't know. What'd you do? Was you calling them plays in there, OA? Was that you?
Is that Kevin Stefanski's burner? Next one comes from Nicole D. We better not hear the rust excuse after this game. We had 3 opportunities in the preseason for our starters to shake off the rust. Well, you're at the right post-game show because none of us, G, Earl, nor myself, are giving any kind of excuse to Deshaun, nor the offense or the defense for this level of performance. James says, out on Watson, straightest up garbage. Rob said, offense, coaching, and players, a lot has changed. Is enough remaining that's proven from 2023? Earl, you want to tackle that one?
I mean, listen. I mean, what you want me to say? Like, this team looked like they did last year. I mean, listen. It's one game. Like, it sucked, but on to next week. Like, I don't think this game is going to define the Cleveland Browns season. As you said, Mike, we're not going 17-0, right? Hopefully, the Browns can go out here and win 3-4 straight, and we're not even talking about this Dallas game, and they look a whole lot better. Like, they didn't look good today, and I can only give you what I got today. They did not look good in any phase. So that is what it is.
You want to hear a little good news, at least, if you want to spin this in a positive? The Jaguars lost today. The Giants got freaking smoked.
The Bengals lost to the Patriots.
We're getting there. So, but I was saying next 4 games: Jaguars lost, Giants lost, Commanders lost, and Raiders lost. Well, Raiders then Commanders. Your next 4 teams, none of them really looked good. The Jaguars were up 17-7 on the Dolphins, blew the lead, typical Jaguars fashion. The Giants, I mean, Daniel Jones was an absolute atrocity today. Baker Mayfield threw for 4 touchdowns against the Commanders. That defense suspect. And the Raiders lost to the Chargers. So you got some winnable games coming up. You got to win them. And that's what Christopher says. These next 4 games will determine the season. James says, awful performance, no heart, no energy. Watson was worse than Whedon. That's tough. Eric Spicer says, as mediocre as Watson played, I genuinely don't even think 2020 Deshaun fixes all the issues that the offense had today. We talked about
they acted like that.
G tired of that.
That 2020, they act like that 2020 Watson was Mahomes. Let me tell you something right now. For all the above, everybody talking, these quarterbacks, it ain't good enough if it's 2020 Watson, if it's today's Baker, if it's yesterday's Whedon. I'm watching the big dogs play, and the big dogs is putting people to sleep. Like Earl said, Jalen Hurts and them struggled yesterday, but there was still plays where you was like, oh, goodness gracious, look at that. Hey, Lamar Jackson was getting off the ground a lot too, but there was plays where he's 6 inches away from coming back from a comeback win. We need to stop talking about the 2020 Watson, and they better get down back to the 2024, what we about to do tomorrow. Because if it ain't, Flacco ain't coming back, Baker not coming back, none of them, Callahan not coming back, they better figure something out. Can they get it done? Sure. But if we're going to sit here the whole time and say we're going to get Flacco back, like, that is not a rebuttal. Like, we got smoked in the playoffs with Flacco too. So I'm trying to get better than that. That's all I'm just trying to say.
Next up comes from James. He says, choice routes in the SpongeBob meme letters, which means where the hell were they? G. Bush's bad knee. Thanks for chiming in, G. Bush.
Yeah,
Jason Lloyd at The Athletic doing the Birdman hand rub, getting ready to write his next hit piece. Him and Zach Jackson about to go honk the animal. That is good. G. Bush, your bad knee. That is a very good super chat.
That's crazy.
Jeffrey Anderson says the Browns let Flacco go. Huge mistake. Evan 419 says sewers for ewers. Texas put a beat down on Michigan this week. Sam Fisher 170 says, where was the RPOs, the orbit motions, the orbit screens, just basic ass 1980 shotgun offense? Watson got to get out of his head and play better. We said it was the same offense. It was the same offense time and again. Same thing.
Scouts, we need to fire all of our CIA scouts and operatives that is infiltrating Berea. Every year we get this intel, and then we come to the first game. There's nothing. No. RPO where? We saw nothing.
Hey, this is like when you were on Tinder or Bumble or Hinge, and that girl don't look nothing like when you meet her up in person. Yo, the Browns preseason hype train is a dime on the social media profile.
Oh my
you
gosh.
See her, you meet up for their first drink at the bar. And you just walk in, you do a little scope, you see her, and it's not her. You go right to the bathroom and dip. Like that is what we got the Browns off.
She had a filter on.
What you mean filter? She had a body switch. That was a stunt double. You can't do that. Like, hold on, I want my money back. And we at the Marble Room? We at Ruth's Chris? No, I thought I was getting something else.
Sly says Stefanski saving team from injuries during the preseason just for them to get hurt and cramp up during week 1. Got a couple more. James B says lethargic, anemic, impotent. impotent and lacking strategy and tactics. The worst loss of the Stefanski era. The loss, that kind of loss gets people fired. No one's getting fired after a week 1 loss, but I would be interested to go back, and I'm trying to think, at least in the last 2 years since I've been here, is that the worst loss of the Stefanski era?
It might be. It might be.
In terms of I mean, they were favored. Listen, they were favored at home and got boat raced.
That might be it. That might be it.
James B, that's gonna be a topic on the show tomorrow. I'm making a note.
Was that the worst loss? Man, I'm trying to think. We had a bad one before.
The Patriots loss in 22 was bad. The Bailey Zappi.
Oh yeah, that was terrible. That was one of the worst. Yeah, that was a bad one. But
hey, where Jarvis at when you need him? Last time we played the Dallas Cowboys, Jarvis Landry was out there killing it at quarterback.
Odell Beckham Jr. was a monster.
Last one comes from Benchwarmer Sports, who says Deshaun has been good in 1 of 13 games now. I said that on my show. He wasn't good enough. None of us made excuses today. We're all in unison. Deshaun was not good enough. Point blank. Period. It's simple. It's easy. If you're looking for excuses and kumbaya moment of it's all going to be okay, let's reconvene next Sunday after he plays well, hopefully, and we can have it. But it's not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Shout out to my man. Who let me get it. Carrie Smeal says the Jets lost. You are right. The Jets lost with 12 seconds left to go.
We was up like a billion points.
That's it. It's no longer a topic on tomorrow's show.
Right. Yeah, really good. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's the Jets loss.
I think we was up like 1,003 with like 12 seconds left, and we lost 1,003 to 1,000.
That was it. Thank you. Thank you, chat, for getting us off that topic.
By the way, and I listen, I truly wish we could read. We had over 3,000 comments while we were going live. We can't read them all. We literally would be here till 5 a.m. if we did. We appreciate every single one who tuned in. It was today sucked. Today sucked. Let's be honest. And we still had over 3,000 people in here. If we win, when we win, we're gonna have 6,000. We're gonna break 6,000 this year. That's the goal. When we beat Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore later in the season, this team gets rolling. Let's get over 6,000. It's gonna be incredible. We appreciate y'all tuning in. We have 2.5 hours tomorrow on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We are starting at 10:30 in the morning, not 11, 10:30 in the morning, because we think we needed an extra half hour. Of course, it's the worst game of the season, worst game in a long time. So we're giving ourselves a little extra torture here, but 10:30 tomorrow. We will see y'all then. Appreciate you tuning in. For G, I'm McNuggets. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.